All right, it's important to note Fort Knox does have a strict no visitors policy, at least for now. Let's get more on this. We welcome in our friend Doug Flynn to the program, and he joins us live from Fort Flynn. You know, it's, I don't know, it's only a matter of time. Every day it's something. Thoughts on Fort Knox?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I can't imagine running a business and not doing an inventory once a year. Yeah. And the secrecy. I mean, maybe we have more gold than we think we do, and maybe it's, you know, maybe it's better than we think, or maybe it's far worse. But you know, it probably makes sense to get in there, and they have had people go and kind of take a look and say, yeah, we see the gold, but we can't tell if it's 420 or 450 billion dollars worth, which is what is estimated. Perhaps it's much more, perhaps it's less. But I think we do need a full accounting here just to find out exactly how much we have.
You're right. I mean, we should do a lot of the stuff that they're saying. The issue with Musk and company has been, do they have the legal authority to do what they're doing? How are they moving too fast? And firing people, asking questions later. All of that is legitimate, but so some of the stuff they're coming up with, like we talked over and over about the weird mine in Pennsylvania, that was idiotic. And this, to your point, maybe we should be taking a closer look at some stuff that we just took for granted.
Yeah, I think so. I think, and it comes from, I think, business. It's like you can't run things without knowing exactly what you have. And the government regulates you to do certain things on an annual basis, but yet they're not obligated to do any of these things themselves. And it's our government. I mean, none of that makes any sense. So how they're doing it, of course, they're breaking a lot of things on the way to getting through here. So maybe they'll make some inroads. And I think that's what we're all hoping for in some way, shape, or form. Let's just find out what we're dealing with, good, bad, or indifferent.
Break a few gold bars on the way. All right, let's talk about speaking of business stories, one today, which is interesting because it kind of pulls together a lot of what we talk about all the time with tariffs. The CEO of Nissan says the company might be forced to move production out of Mexico if Trump does go through with the 25% tariffs. We have a list of all these auto companies that do a lot of business in Mexico. What do you see as the impact of this?
Well, I mean, Trump has said that obviously if you make it in the U.S., there'll be zero tariffs. Right. And Nissan has 3 facilities in 3 different states in the U.S. So I think when he's saying we'll have to make it elsewhere, he's not saying he's going to move it back to the U.S., but I think some of that is implied. There's already some manufacturing going on in the U.S. And look, people may not realize that Mexican auto workers make about 1/10 of what U.S. auto workers make. And so it's obviously very lucrative to make things down in Mexico and ship it here. Even with a tariff, they're likely going to still come out ahead. But really where this has an impact, and not so much on inflation and costs for consumers, it has an impact on corporate earnings, and therein line the earnings of the company and maybe the bonuses of the CEOs and whatnot. So I think that's really where this is going. I think it's going to have a more limited impact on consumers, and perhaps it's better for the U.S. And there is going to get a squeeze on some of these companies, which then gets back to perhaps Trump gets in that corporate tax cut, which offsets that. I think that's where this is all going.
All right, good analysis as always, Doug. Doug Flynn with us today, closing bell time in New York.